Influencers and creators have recently been getting into the business space after realizing that advertising for brands isn't as lucrative as owning the brand itself. We've seen old money markets get disrupted by influencers like Mr. Beast going into chocolate, Logan Paul and KSI marketing their energy drink, Ryan Reynolds with his aviation jet or Mint Mobile, or Donkey with the video game publishing company. They've realized the same things that advertisers did when they bought ads for them. They have an incredibly large audience wrapped at attention. While ads will only have the benefit of a limited run with an influencer, if they run their own company, they can put it at the end of every video, post about it every day on social media, and make their own ads for it. But these are for mostly product based companies. Mr. Beast makes his chocolate and can make a process that will churn out the same product within an acceptable degree of variance. This is a lot easier for a creator to create. After initial creation, which would be largely in the hands of the people they delegate to make the process and create the best product, they can focus on distribution and marketing, which is largely where their large following grants them the most leverage against traditional companies. One area I haven't seen creators take that is ripe for disruption within the next several years is the publishing industry. Publishing companies do three main things for the author: getting your books pressed and on shelves, marketing the book, and editing it. They get your book into stores with relationships that they have with these stores, like Barnes& Noble, formerly Borders, and many other bookstores or libraries. Getting your book pressed and shipped out to these stores falls under this category as well, and is the biggest part of a publishing process. This is shifting more digital with things like Hoopla and Libby pushing books out to your phone and people being more comfortable with ebooks. 3 out of every 10 Americans is reading ebooks now, and this pushes out one of the main contributors to old money traditional publishers' hold on the industry. Ebook reading has doubled in the last year, while print book is trending down. Not to say that print book is not a serious deterrent for new publishers, just a hurdle that would require a little bit more cash to begin the business. With things trending online, though, keeping your books on an online format does not require a huge staff to schedule and coordinate the entry into these bookstores. Some ebook creators have exclusive short form book runs so that they can capitalize on those who have a bookshelf that simply must have this book on it. Amazon has entered the scene with their Kindle Direct publishing that takes a flat 40% of the list price for virtue of being the biggest distributor on earth and facilitating the creation of your paper or hardback book. If it is an ebook, they will take 30% contingent on your buyers being in the proper range of countries they work with. With ebooks, the cost to manufacture is exceedingly low, so overall cost is much lower for production. It's instead tied up in human costs like editing and marketing. There's less risk in ebook because you don't have them sitting in a warehouse waiting to be sold for buyers that will never show up. These publishers take more risks and feel better about it because there isn't a huge cost that needs to be recouped. With this shifting to an online format, traditional publishing is not nearly as important, and where these older publishers are stuck in the past, leading for this opportunity for disruption. Marketing is the other big role that these companies play. Without being able to get your book in front of book reviewers or getting it talked about on social media by accounts big and small, your book, no matter how well written, will not get the attention it may deserve. Publishers used to not have such a big role in this because their focus was on distribution of quality books to big box stores. Bigger companies will create front and back cover copy and catalog copy, but also put together some press kits for reviews and interviews, provide flyers and bookmarks, set up signings and events, but these are pretty old-minded ways of marketing, and influencer culture is beating these by a country mile. Take people like Colleen Hoover, who were established authors who had churned out books but rose highly in popularity due to the marketing that was done on TikTok. Same with people like Chloe Gong or Alex Astor, who wouldn't have nearly the success they do without this huge amount of marketing that they did by themselves, essentially. We are becoming more adverse to consuming ads with their endless onslaught, but when someone we seek out is telling us to buy a product, we listen. The last main thing publishing companies offer is editing and essentially a stamp of approval for the book's quality. This is one of the other large things that has been very successful in keeping out other small publishers. A publishing company's stamp of approval is very fickle from release to release, and you need a lot of good releases for someone to associate your faceless brand with quality. Some like Hyperion, Tor, or Penguin Random House have accomplished this, but there's still a fast track. Hopping on the branding of personal culture with people like Alex Astor, Colleen Hoover, or Chloe Gong is one of the main ways this could be possible. These authors and influencers have huge audiences. And if they dip their toe into advertising for other people's books, they will have a lot of people looking. And if these books continue to be good that they're advertising for, they have a brand that they could build on. Through that brand that they build, they could start this publishing company. Authors could have a better relationship with their publisher as they have a better experience and understanding of the writing process. There wouldn't be a disconnect from executives wanting to brand for the widest possible demographic and the author who understands their target market and how to appeal and grow that. Authors would be able to have a little bit more creative control over their books, as now authors have no control over cover and copy that goes on it, and instead only have consultations. There's also the possible censorship of topics that a larger publisher might balk at seeing on their shelves. They might not be comfortable in having on their catalog, and a more personal and understanding owner could take this risk on. This is to say that some of these publishing companies would have to be a little bit more lenient with their creators or a little bit more lenient with the risk adversity that they might have, as they don't have the cash bankroll that maybe a traditional publishing company would have or the distribution, and would rely more on the branding that they can personally have with their audience. But as we've seen, these companies can be hugely successful. This is about the time that something like this will happen. So why hasn't this happened yet? Author time crunch with the eternally marching deadlines and self-promo work that never ceases is one of the major reasons I see. When you're not on tour promoting your own book, you're drafting for the next one because your publisher has more than likely given you an advance. Not that this is a bad setup for many authors because it does bring them the stability that they need, but it does bring people to be a little bit more dependent on their publishers. In addition, running a company is a full-time event, so when you are a full-time author, the time involved in a publishing company might not look like a good return on investment. You would have to have a good support network of talented people, or you may find yourself not working one of these monumental tasks you've set up for yourself. There is also the issue with leaving behind the characters that you've created in your books. Some of these characters have been picked up by companies, and so there's legal issues with that. Many authors sign deals for the extent of their series, so starting something new would be really, really risky. Some current publishers will also ask for the rights for characters and sequels, so you don't take advantage of their traditional media, and then leave when you get an audience to somewhere a little bit more profitable. However, the distribution of books has become severely less important as we shift digital. People don't want to carry around books. So authors can do the quality assurance and marketing that these traditional publishers don't have access to. In addition, I'm sure that places like Simon and Schuster or Tor or Hyperion are paying some of these top authors ridiculous amounts of money to keep their books on their platforms. It makes sense. You don't want to lose your top talent, but I do think that some of these people who are the top talent have a unique opportunity to try and rival this publishing company sphere. Not to say there aren't issues with this. People look at authors, or really anyone who starts their own endeavor and do their own promo for it, as shills. It's hard to not look at some of these things tainting any promotion work with financial success on the line, possibly losing your public-facing credence. If you make fun of tropes in other people's books, or if you give a review to a book that gets a bad review, maybe some of your public look turns bad, and this would be what your company would be running on. So that's not really a good look anymore. There's also the issue that some of these book talk stars might not have the longevity or marketability to support long-term authorship. This doesn't mean that the medium is flawed, just that the amount of people that this is possible for is slightly more limited. Transitioning out of the authorship role and into the publishing one while still keeping the audience would not be a difficult task for these audiences to bear if a longer period of time is shown where both are balanced. And if someone is shown that they can keep an audience entertained and informed, this is not certainly a downfall. It may come an issue that if you talk about books that pass on their publishing company, you could be slandering them because they moved on from the money that you offered them. It would just mean that all of these creators and authors would have to be a little bit more forward-facing to the public and be a little more cognizant and actually make good products for their audience. But at the end of the day, that's what any successful company wants to do if they're not just churning money out of their audience. One of these Book Talk stars is very close to creating a publishing company and running it for a very low cost on a strictly ebook or mostly ebook with some printed at a premium. The audience is there for it, and they could take smaller authors to the masses. So Colleen, Alex, Chloe, if this is coming up in your plans, give me a call. Thank you.